Alright, what's up guys? Rudigaseta8 here. Welcome to True Trigger Pass. I'm going to be joined here by Fallen Winter and Frayed Hero. How's it going, guys?
What's up?
Hello.
Yeah, so what is True Trigger Pass? Well, technically, I guess you can call this second episode, considering, I don't know if anyone watching has ever remembered us doing a show like this, but we did it in Frayed Hero's kitchen, and that failed pretty miserably. So we're going to try to redo it again, but different, since before it was kind of like news and stuff, and instead we're just going to try and talk about like things that are relevant in the game and such. Kind of this episode will be an example. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about the 16 card G Zone and the G Guardians and what is done for the game so far, since G Guardians and the 16 card G Zone has been in effect since Fire Collection 2016 and further expanded upon in GBTO 7. You know, with 16 card G Zone, you know, people were pretty excited about that. You know, a lot of people saying there was it was too much room. Like, a lot of people were just saying, it would make more sense for 12, I guess, or something along those lines. Like, what do you guys think of that? 16 too big now, or still not big enough, or?
It's funny because honestly, for a while, me specifically, Fallen Winter, was kind of saying how there were so many clans that had very little, like, relevant, that honestly they just had be running for practically everything they can get, and then there just would be a lot of extra space that isn't necessary. And then Frayed Hero on the other hand was pretty much saying that it wasn't that bad. After playing through it though, honestly, it's kind of nice just having those extra options. Like, it definitely helps.
Yeah, like I was saying when it first got announced, it was it's you don't need, like, the game is not forcing you to run 16 cards in G Zone, but it's gonna help, especially since you can now run kind of like Tekken options, where it's just like before, some clans have like, oh yeah, I have this G card, or like when Stride, that's only really good against, or kind of helpful in certain matchups. You can now run that technically. I mean, that's kind of more specifically for kind of the lesser clans that don't have a lot of options, but it's still, options to have.
Except when you're Gear Chronicle and Kagero and stuff, where you're just like, I still need more spaces.
Yeah, I mean, and before we just have, 32 cards in G Zone.
Oh yeah. My wallet will be not ready for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing
yeah.
that came with G Zones, where if you notice, the price of triple rares shifted from being just like $40 triple rares in the main deck to like 10 to 20, and then you have your G Zone cards, which could be another 10 to 20, maybe even higher depending on rarity.
And then some. And then there's the G rare strides, and then you just cry.
Yeah, that's.
But
that's kind of like another video in itself, though, like the finances of Vanguard in the main deck and side deck, but. Yeah, I mean, also, technically, the people are saying that 12 is good enough, or what 12 should have been the number, are technically correct, since you technically pretty much have, or a lot of decks tend to have 12 regular strides and then 4 G Guardians. So, it's kind of like having 12 already, it's just you have an extra 4 for the things they're not striding into.
It's just really weird, though, I think, because, like Frayed Hero was saying, it's very divided, where certain clans are like, look at all of these G Zones that they gave us, we have so many options, this is fantastic. And then there's other clans where it's just like, we haven't really gotten our extra set of strides yet. I'm running 4 of this, because these are pretty much the only things that are relevant, maybe like 2 of this because it's there, and then everything else is just, I filled it in, because I wanted 16.
Which, I mean, that was kind of like the beginning of Strides as well. Like, for a time, you just run Atmos because you wanted to have the max amount of strides, and you just run Atmos. And same thing as Blizza, before Blizza became more relevant, but, you'd also run, what's his face? Yeah, Messiah.
That odd period.
Which
not
is
necessarily a bad thing, really. It's just...
I mean, it's always that shift, though,
because
when a new mechanic or whatever is introduced, and you're not one of the clans that are one of the ones who introduced
getting it yet.
Yeah.
Like
it's
Break
just a waiting
Rides,
game.
Bermudas, they were the only ones who could do it at one point, and that did well for them. So every other clan started getting theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, so as the sets later go on, like I'm sure all the other clans will have better options, and
Oh, definitely.
clans will be jumping up and down in between tiered 1 and 2 because of the new set releases and such, or for some clans just never get out of tiered 3. Rest in peace, Murakumo.
Rest in peace, Oracle Think Tanks.
Oh yeah, my
Never
bad.
lucky.
That's tiered 4. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Dang. Okay, that's fine.
I'm
yeah.
sure maybe they'll pull an Angel Feather, but yeah. So, with the 16 card G zone, it's like just kind of sum it up. It's nice to have the options. It feels really good to pick up your G zone and it's like an entire like pile, and you shift through that pile. It feels pretty good.
Until you
Yeah,
try to
especially triple
put your cards
sleeves.
away.
Oh
Until you
yeah,
try
if
to
you
put
triple
your
sleeve
cards
it,
away and you realize you need like a whole other deck box for them.
yeah,
or
that's
3.
that's the only problem. It's not that bad if you single sleeve everything. You don't have a problem because, especially the newer deck boxes now can actually
Oh, yeah.
fit all
You
your
have
entire deck.
so much space for everything in those.
Well, the
but-
newer ones just fit everything at
Yeah.
this point, right? At least for now.
Yeah,
But if you're
unless you
not
triple
running
sleeve.
a new deck box, then you have some problems.
Yeah, you triple sleeve it, and the
Oh,
new
yeah.
deck box actually fits the triple sleeves actually quite well. It's just your G zone doesn't fit in there anymore too. But it's for the special people like myself. And also the G Guardians, since they just recently came out. So far, again, kind of like this with the 16 card G zone. It's a little awkward that it's kind of like when Messiah and Atmos and Blizzard came out. Pretty much like all the clans are just running Dismals and Screws, just because there's not better options. Do you think like every set is gonna have, for let's say the next set, GBTO8 and the technical booster, the clans being supported in there, are they actually gonna have good options to?
Well, considering
fill
what
in?
we've seen in 7, we're getting a lot of really good options, and they are increasing the shield
Oh, yeah.
values on these new ones. Like, I mean, the new Dark Irregular G-Guard is pretty dang good, considering it just gives the middle finger to D-Police.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
And
then
then
like-
of course, there's Tanao Griffin and Defeat Flare.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
the
the Kagura
MVPs.
ones, they're
Yeah.
just bullies.
Yeah.
But then you have the Gear Chronicle one, which is like, hey, I can get you your TikTok worker and give you like good shield value while getting a combo card. So
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot of really cool options with G Guardians that complement each deck. So I'm hoping to see much better things for other clans.
And in the Techno Booster Mega Colony is in there, so obviously they're gonna get some stunning shenanigans or something going on in there. It's gonna be like, oh,
stunning.
guard, and if the attack didn't hit, choose that column, or that was attacking, or choose that rear guard or something, and stun it, or some ridiculous stuff like that.
Yeah. Also,
So,
we want to state
you
that
know.
we're recording this before a lot of, since some of the technical booster spoilers have been released, but
Oh,
just
yeah.
not a lot of them. So we just want to state that just in case if the episode comes out later and it's just like, oh yeah, they released a G guard for, I don't know, Murakumo's that allows you to win the game, or some shit like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. There's that. Murakumo's definitely probably gonna get some interesting stuff. I can see some duplication
Oh yeah,
things
of course.
going on, or some other type of backup options, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly
Sounds like
easy to guess on what
Great
what
Nature in the
stuff's on.
background really
Yeah.
wants
Oh,
to
yeah.
get some attention.
Yeah, I like my neighbors.
Well, if
yeah,
any,
so-
well, Great
yeah.
Nature's hopefully gets definitely. They do need a better G Guardian for sure.
Shadows too.
Oh yeah, Shadows.
Oh
of
well,
course.
yeah. Let's not talk about that. We
As
gotta talk
much
about
as
that.
as Shadows is supported and kind of like the tiered already, they should deserve at least a decent G guard. Because the one we got in Fire's Collection, it makes sense for what the Diablo deck is trying to do, which is just eliminate your field, but it's just really bad. It just needs
It's
to
just
be better.
unfortunate that we literally can't. It would have been fine if it was like retire your rear guard as a cost, and then it gets +5 or something, or it gets plus something, or it just gains a shield value. Because then you could actually do cool stuff, like if you're on Diablo, sack a hole, and then suddenly, or was it Kaden? You sack Kaden, and then your Vanguard gets +5 or something.
Yeah,
Yep.
On top of that, that'd be pretty neat.
yeah, that would be very
I mean, I
interesting.
don't think
but-
you'd want to do it all the time, but it's an option.
Which
It's
I guess
better
is
than
probably
going,
like,
oh, 15 shield, or I guess I'm gonna kind of intercept with a grade 1 on my field that I probably needed.
Oh, bye,
yeah.
Sharon. I wanted you, but I guess not. Here you go. Have him.
I feel like you messed up
Tiger's
somewhere
like,
though if you have like, an
"Thanks."
extra Sharon on the field though. Like,
Yeah,
right,
I don't know. They
possibly.
really can get some help.
Yeah,
Great.
I would actually imagine if it was like more kind of. I don't know if it really matches Shadow Paladins that well, but it just like when you have, I don't know, 3 empty rearguard spaces because, you know, after you've Diabloed or whatever, you have empty rearguards, so maybe 3 or 4 empty rearguards, then you get +5. Like, I think that would have made sense for me, but I guess moving the grade 1 into the guard zone makes sense, but it's still pretty bad.
The only issue that would be is against the matchup, you'd practically never want to be going into that unless you really had to.
Oh, more great nature.
Yeah, just because, oh, let me just, oh man, I can G-guard using that G-guard with 2 rear guards on my field. Oh, he Diabloed. Well, okay, no guard, that's fine, I'll just take it.
Yeah.
The only issue I can see with that, but you know, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch where it's just like, I don't want to set up for this G-guard because that's a bad thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it would still be maybe considerable, just because that there is only one matchup that'd be bad against, so maybe just the one of possibly.
Yeah, although I think if anything, we're still kind of thinking in the mindset of these first wave of G-Guardians where we're thinking they need a cost or they need this like kind of dulled down effect that does something but isn't really a big effect. Because with the new stuff, I can definitely see it getting into that territory of, you know, oh, sack one of my units, call out a grade 1 and it gains like 10k shield or something like that. Or
Yeah.
some other far more effective ability that's relevant to the deck itself.
Yeah, of course, since, you know, it's kind of like the strides as well. And they kind of start off vanilla and they got a lot better and better until, you know, you get to the current strides where it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, well, first stride into to Lambros, pretty much gonna kill you this turn, basically. Good luck.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But then G Guardians are helping out in that sense too, though,
Oh,
because it's
definitely.
prolonging games, even though they enable games much quicker too. At the same time, it also
It
slows
also-
down the game.
It also kills off quite a bit of decks. If not kill off, then make it a lot less tiered. For example, Diablo.
Well, it made Xi's strategies a lot less potent.
Yeah.
Or just the fact that guard manipulate was everywhere and was kind of a problem. But now
Yeah,
it's a lot more manageable.
Yeah, you know, Glory Maelstrom, Diablo skill,
Or even next
Diablo,
stage.
2 G-Guardians, good luck.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
even next stage, which is next stage is still good. It's just it makes it less as good.
I'll swing for 21 G-Guard, no.
One, no, it's just like one trigger already. I mean, you know, whatever. Also, it's kind of nice with the G guards. Is, you know, G guard 26 to 26 already, 10k shield,
Oh,
2 to pass.
also not only guard manipulate, but you know those decks that were scary for very obvious reasons. Dote and what is its name? Laurel dot deck.
Oh yeah,
Basically, it's like, oh, attack your rear guard. I'm gonna get that free because I know you got the G Guardian. Dismal, no, and you're just like, oh, well, all right. I'm just attack nothing. It's cool.
yeah. So, you know, G guardians kind of pushing back the stronger cards, kind of shaking up the meta just a little bit. If not a lot, then, you know, of course, just a little. It's kind of refreshing.
If I'd say, if anything, it's putting into power a lot of the decks that just have a really, really potent finisher stride that just is either game ending by itself or is just really strong if used early enough, which was a reason why some decks are kind of not as great because it was really slow or something. And then it's just like, now it's like, oh, first stride Lambros, good luck.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
first stride Dogma, I hope you're ready for a restanding like giant powered Vanguard. and you hope I didn't rush you down or something. So,
Yeah, so it's like-
definitely those types of options.
It's like you said earlier, it's making the game a lot quicker as well as a lot slower, just because of the fact that
It's just really matchup based at this point.
yeah.
It's always been, but
I mean, we're getting to the
In
point now where
more
in
apparent.
matchup base, we might as well just start having a sideboard at this point too.
I'm still in disagreement with having a sideboard. I like the game as it is right now.
well,
I
I,
don't
feel
know,
like
yeah.
it's I don't know. I feel like on one hand it needs a sideboard, but at the other hand it just isn't viable. Just because even with the side, there's only so many things to side deck against that it's not really a sideboard at that point.
I guess maybe
It's
Vanguard's
like,
just
this
not
isn't-
the game that you
This
side deck.
isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic or like Buddy Fight where you actually have cards specifically made to counter other things.
Or interactions, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the only
It's
thing, the
like-
closest interactions we're getting right now is Bellog from Kagros, and that's like the closest thing we've gotten so far.
And
As far as I
Denial
know of.
Flare in the
And
same
Denial.
vein,
Yeah, and you know all of
and
the
Defeat
Kagero
Flare and all
stuff.
that. But yeah, there's not very much. And unfortunately, that is the other thing where there's not too many. There's some cards that from Elemental, I guess, that are like, oh, this does a lot of things, or this does this to this one specific deck, but it's like, okay, this screws over Legion except for Dimension Police, kind of, but that's like half the time that's what you're gonna be seeing for Legion, so like, why would you even? And then there's like, oh, I can unlock stuff. Okay, just run that in your main deck, honestly, like, that's... I don't know. It just doesn't seem. I feel like it would help, but it'd be only help in such a small amount of matchups that it just feels unnecessary yet, if at all.
Yeah, that's kind of like a half joke, but yeah. Or what else are they gonna
Yeah.
introduce in Vanguard? You know, like
I mean, it's
a
just
year down the road.
there anyway.
Pendulums.
Oh man.
No.
Oh god.
And then you
I,
get
I
feels like
buddies.
Buddy calls buddy ride and heal 1 damage. Oh, whoops! I rode your Wraith here without taking damage. My bad. Never mind. No, but I don't know. G Gardens are just. I think we need to wait and see a little bit, just because right now it seems like a decent mechanic overall. Like, it's not insanely broken, but it does help a little bit.
yeah, it's making
I don't
the
know
game
if
feel
it's in
like
a good way or not, but it's definitely helping something.
I would agree that it's helping the game quite a bit, just because of the fact that if you do get the G Guard, especially for like playing Aug Force or some sort of rush deck, you know, you're not gonna have most of the time not gonna have a huge hand. So having the extra guard to be able to, you know, do a 20 or have a 15k shield with 1 card, it feels pretty good. But it also kind of makes
If
that
anything, yeah. No, go ahead.
it kind of also feels bad when you don't get into the heals, just because you need the heals now. Like if you're playing Kagros and you are relying on doing Denial or the GR, like if you don't get any of the heals, I can imagine it tilts some people. You know, it's just like, oh man, I could have won that game if I denied Flare, but you know, I didn't even like drive check a heal. or
Denial
anything.
Flare, man.
Denial
you combine
Flare,
2
yeah.
cards into 1 card. That's pretty
Denial
broken.
Griffin, yeah. No, that's next
I
Kagero
mean-
card.
I can see that, but at the same time, it's kind of now we're just going into you could kind of get tilted about a lot of things or blame it on not hitting certain cards and stuff, which sometimes it is true that is why you lost. But you know, it's like, oh, I didn't hit the perfect guard. It's the same concept, you know. And it's like, I didn't ride my right grade 3, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. And yeah,
Well,
it
it's
sucks
technically
that
a
it
bad thing,
happens.
but-
But you know, yeah, it's
I mean,
just
breaking
one of those
happens
things.
in like
that
every
it's-
game.
Welcome to card games where you're not the anime and you're not getting your ideal hand every time.
What? I am.
Or
the
you're
anime.
probably
What are you talking
cheating.
about? I mean,
But,
Freight Hero.
but yeah.
Freight Hero stacks his deck, confirmed.
Oh,
You said it during the live
was
stream.
the
Oh,
one-
now.
Whew, good. Passing off the
I
blame.
know. I know, right? This
Strats,
Fallen Winter guy's
got
getting
this.
off scot-free. Like, what's up with that?
I know. I like this. See, this is how you guys do it. All right, pro strats. No, but kind of back on that other topic. Like right now, it seems like a good thing, but just with the introduction of Denial Griffin and all this other stuff, they very well have the potential to shift the meta and just the way the game plays so much. Just because we don't know what they're bringing out yet, and this is just the first set of like second wave G Guardians. Like once we start seeing what the new ones do, especially for some of the more popular clans and stuff like that, they could start getting pretty stupid, and they could start getting really stupid fast.
Yeah, I mean, I want
But
to
that's the
comment more
entirety
about
of
the.
Vanguard, though.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, before we
but
move, since
I'm
I,
just waiting for the one really, really broken stride though. That's just we thought Denial Griffin or Defeat Flare and all that. We thought Coward were bad. Like 2 sets down the line, we're gonna get some stupid thing for like Shadow Paladins or Royal Paladin or some other thing, and it's just gonna be like, oh man.
But
Well,
that's literally how Vanguard's been,
yeah.
like, forever. You're like, man, Break Reds, this is so broken. Oh, Legion, this is the most broken thing. I gotta send triggers back to my deck.
on that stride, I get the hit for 26 on default. Man, this is
With
so broken.
triple
I get
drive
the
and getting
yeah.
triple crit.
Yeah, and then also more effects even on top of that. This is stupid.
And everyone thought
Yeah.
Laurel was the most broken thing in the
Definitely.
world.
I know some people that still think so. They're.
I mean, it's
I know
really
some-
good, but it doesn't completely break the game. I mean, you see how little D-Police is still played these days?
That's very true. Yes. They still seem to be very, not gimmicky, but just
I guess-
on the tier 1 in meta.
I guess if anything, it's just the matter of this is just the very start of this new era of G Guardians, I guess, and it's just not necessarily that they'll break the game, I guess, but just the fact that they could very well change how a lot of these decks play, just because we'll start getting more of these interactions that stun stuff, or you start duplicating cards onto your field in the middle of your opponent's turn, or I don't know, you just I mean
It could be the start of interactions
Yeah.
during your opponent's interacting during
Yeah.
your turn, like interactions
It-
that
or-
Vanguard has never had before.
It isn't just Angel Feathers now who take 20 minutes shuffling their deck and swapping out a bunch of cards in the middle of their opponent's turn. Now we're gonna see that with everyone, which hopefully leads to extensions of time because oh boy.
We need it. Yeah, that's also a different
But
thing.
yeah.
But Afraid Hero, what
But
do you
yeah.
think of G Guardians and 16 card G Zone as a whole? Good for the game, bad?
I personally think it was a great thing to just add, considering how strides were just getting so power creep that we kind of were just like, well, if I can't guard this, I'm just dead. Like, straight up, there was no other way. Like, just decks in general, like Heavy Duke, which relied on just, I'm just gonna swing for abnormally huge numbers with guard restrict, like, almost every turn. Good luck, have fun. Or like,
Yeah.
the next stage where you just couldn't do anything unless you had the zeros on the second swing and they could do it twice, because, next stage was probably a forum at that time, where you just
Yeah.
have guard manipulate and stuff just appearing on a ton of cards, which made decks really good.
And then that makes those decks not as good, but still fairly good, because they're still relying on
Yeah.
if you still have those cards specifically in hand. But yeah. Although I feel like in the current meta though too, that with this new set that came out, and it could be true for all the other sets that come out now, like GBTO7's like big important G guards were Denial Griffin and the GR. Why do I not remember his name ever? But yeah, like those ones, I feel like a lot of decks are more being questioned. Like, okay, is this meta? Well, can you still be really doing really good things? Like, can you actually still be meta when you get your field like denialed, or if you get your rear guards just eaten up with Belog or whatever effect. So I'm just
Yeah, that's the
interested to
other
see
thing, though.
if every set release, like say GPTO 8, their big bad G guard is something Fenrir related. Does the new meta now become oh, can you beat Fenrir of G guards? Because if you can't, you're probably not meta enough to be good. You know.
Oh, see, that's just not the only other thing. Is you actually have to pay attention to what cards they could be running, because like you can play around Denial and you can play around Defeat Flare. You just really have to know what your deck can do if they get put into the situation where one or the other happens. You have to prepare for both, and it's just a lot more complex strategies, I think, that you'd have to account for, because it's not as simple as, oh, just swing, 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 perfect guard, no, guard,
No, they had
okay,
that. Oh
I
well.
win. Yeah,
Yeah.
but now it's like, oh, they could do this or they could do that, and it's like, well, if they do
I know
that,
they have
then what do I do
this.
about that? Or like, yeah, you have to actually pay attention to like heal triggers. Like when I played against Kaden, like I knew he had the heal, and I couldn't just throw down my laurels and just be like, no big deal, I'm just gonna go all in right now. I actually had to play around it, swing Vanguard to rear guard to not trigger Defeat Flare and all that good stuff. You really got to think about what you're doing, and
And
you
also
actually
think
have to
about
kind of
too.
account
Yeah.
for what they're running in their
Yeah.
G zone.
And they also
Yeah.
kind of think of too at the same time, like for that sort of situations, like for let's say Aquaforce, because Science Vanguard was saying that Thovis is still like tiered 1, like despite of, or they predicted, since I looked at the video again and they weren't saying, they predicted that Thovis was still going to be tiered 1, and I highly disagree with that, because even though he still can be good because of Tidal Assault and the early game rush and everything, cards like Kagero's G guards and Belog and stuff that retires mid-turn of your turn, it just drops the deck significantly. So
Well,
being
it
able,
is
even if
one
you can't play
matchup,
around
though.
that,
I mean,
yeah, okay, that's very true.
Consider-
Admittedly, it is one matchup,
It's
and
only Kagura,
Skyros
and-
is still a thing.
yeah.
Like, resist to front row still means that your Denial Griffin does absolutely nothing, unless you're tagging from back row, and that doesn't have resist. And
Which,
then, of course, Skyros, that doesn't stop Defeat Flare, obviously, which is a problem. But, I mean, yeah, there are ways to work around it, just a lot more difficult, per se.
You're a lot farther
But,
behind than you
yeah.
were before, and yeah, so
Although, granted, that's how it's always been against that type of matchup, but,
but you kind of have to probably judge too, like even if I can work around being able to work around denial and everything else that my opponent has, can I still win with me working around that?
Well, that's
Like-
why cards like Commander Thavast are so expensive, because they are your workaround. You have to be able to know when to push and when to bait the push. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, you play around, like, okay, they have torrential or bottomless or something, and you have to try to bait it. Like, you have to bait the denial, you have to bait the defeat flare, or just make sure that they have the heal or the overfrozen drop.
so you have to
You
kind
really
of
have to pay attention.
make them, yeah,
It's
Make
becoming a
them
lot more
waste
skill-based.
stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Since it's kind of like for Magic too, you always try to have to bait the counter spells and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Especially if
it's
you're
like
playing
you have to make them
something,
think that that's your play, or that's the thing. Like, okay, this is my push turn, I'm gonna do this, and then they stop it because they think this is what's gonna change everything. And then you just, okay, yeah, just kidding, I have this, I'm going off next turn. I took like a -1 or -2 instead of I dropped my whole board and lost everything.
So it's introducing
And then-
skill to
yeah.
the game that was mainly
Oh,
really
man.
kind of more known for being able to luck based, where you can literally just buy a child deck and technically
Well,
win games because it's so luck
luck
based.
Yeah,
It's
that
not
I
very
feel like is no
autopilot.
longer the
No,
the
God,
case.
no.
It's
Yeah,
a
I mean
lot
the trial decks
harder.
are better though. They supply better cards, but at the same time they're still not good enough where you can still legitimately do that.
I mean, there was always
Oh,
the aspect
definitely.
of skill, but it's becoming more and more apparent since I think Legion is when it started shifting to rewarding players who thought about things more in general. Like, because I mean, back in the day,
Strategizing.
you could literally count their triggers and be like, okay, that's all you're ever gonna hit. And then when you had Legion, you actually had to pay attention to what they sent back over the turns to account for their triggers,
Yeah.
what they might have, and then Stride in general, it's like when to just do certain plays. Because
When-
Stride
what to
opens
Stride
more.
playing
into.
around.
When to Stride, when to not Stride,
Yeah.
when to Legion if you played Legion, all that kind of stuff.
and on top of that, accounting for that third drive check, which actually matters a lot more than we thought it did before. It's like, oh, extra drive check, yeah, that's, I mean, normal. And it's like, crit, well, okay, I mean, yeah, right, this is the thing.
Yeah, you have more chances for a double crit, which is still powerful, you know.
Yeah.
One day, maybe one day, a double crits will actually be bad or something.
So,
well,
I mean, yeah,
we
it
already
is-
are kind of shifting toward that though, where a lot of people are running stands now, because stands have really good effects. Just,
That's
I'm
true,
pretty sure
yeah.
Bushiroad's intent
intention, yeah.
to get people away from just crit stacking.
Yeah, which is, you know, kind of like the no CL with Refros, or no CL / Gavriel with Refroses.
Considering they run 8 to 12 stands.
Yeah, that's still crazy.
Which is kind of, actually, if you think about it, just a whole other thing as well, because it's so much more important to learn certain deck matchups now. And I mean, it was there before. It was like, oh, OTT ran, you know, they're probably going to be running 12 crits, easy, you know, to be careful of that. But even more so now, it's just like, you assume it's so crit based as a meta. It's just like, you play against Nasu, you play against these other types of decks that don't necessarily run as many of something, and it's just, you need to know that now, or you outplay yourself. Like, oh, I'm at 4 damage, they're swinging at me with this, I need to guard this really hard because you know I'm gonna get crit to death. And then, you know, you check the drop zone, there's like 4 to 5 crits in there already, and you're playing against Nacio. Like, you literally walked into a baited attack. They're only gonna trigger stance. That's it. And
Yeah,
that really matters now.
So the game is valuing and kind of making the people or the players that play a lot more become even better and more valuable, and like kind of give them a reward for being able to play such a large amount of times,
Yeah.
and being able to know against matchups and deck information, and you know, being able
Literally
to also
just not
know when to do stuff,
autopiloting your way through the game.
or just relying on luck as heavily as before.
Although, I mean, it's still definitely there, but yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
goes
the
a long
luck base
way.
hasn't been lost, but it's still, it's a, you know, it's something that is becoming a lot better now. You know, that you don't have to rely so heavily on luck. All right, yeah. So, anything else on 16 card G zone and the G guards that you guys want to bring up?
I think as it stands for now, with given what we have, I think we're fine on that. There's not
Yeah.
much more to go into until we get more new fancy stuff
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah, so hopefully the new stuff is, you know, going to be better, so we don't have to run Dismals, and we can look back in some time and see Dismals like, oh man, people actually paid $10 for Dismals? Pfft, it's like 50 cents now. You know, kind of like Messiahs. Anyway,
Although,
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
If not, maybe just he'll stay around just because of the fact that, like we we're saying, against Laurel,
Yeah.
he is very good.
I have to admit, compared to a lot of the other ones, they did definitely. There are a lot more viable still, just because Dismal stops things and Scry is basically a perfect guard. But like we said, we're getting more high-powered guard and stuff like that. So hopefully, they do become like irrelevant after a certain point.
Yeah, which would feel bad, but, you know, it's whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be a very good thing, considering now your client gets specific support that does specific things for your deck, which would be fantastic.
With the same amount of power or the same abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully you guys like this episode. You know, we're gonna try and see how it goes. Be sure to, you know, like, comment, let us know how you think of the episode, any suggestions for future episodes, and also, yeah, we do technically have a Facebook and a Twitter. If you guys want to check those out, those will be in the description. We'll try to be as active as we can, just kind of post like some Vanguard news or, you know, content and stuff like that. So if you guys want to check those out, be sure to check out in the description. Until then, hope to see everyone next time in the next episode. And if you guys aren't already, be sure to subscribe for more content like this, since we'll be trying to post something about 3 times a week or so, give or take. On the track that we're on right now, we should have something on Monday, Friday, and then hopefully, you know, this episode whenever it comes on. So yeah, hope to see everyone next time, and see everyone later.
Later.
See ya.